Here we are on episode 107 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. This is the 1 hour a week we dedicate to growing, scaling, and building this junk removal dream that we're all living. Typically, this is the part where I introduce Casey Bubba Lawrence as my co-host. However, he's out doing shake weight stuff with the Gronk brothers or something. I don't know. We'll have to give him shit for it next week. So I'm on my own. And you know what? That's all right, because we have an amazing guest this week. Xavier Caldera. I've done my research. And by that, I mean, I know how to pronounce his last name. And I know he's on Facebook every day giving us the 60 tips to fail at junk removal. And I read them because they're comical, because we've done the thing. So we're like, oh, this is funny. And yet some of those things were like, oh, shit, I used to do the thing that he's laughing about not to do. So here's my guest, Xavier Caldera. Xavier, welcome to the show.
Andy, thank you so much for having me, brother. So it's an honor for me to be in your podcast. So I've been following your journey, been following you as well. So finally, we get to talk.
We do, and very intentionally. A lot of people hit me up on Facebook and they're like, hey, I really want to sit down and chat with you. And I'm like, cool, come on the podcast. And they're like, why? I'm like, because I don't want to have a conversation that's awesome and not share it with the world. So it's like, let's have this conversation. This is the first time we've ever talked. I continually joke, right? Our show prep is, how do I spell your or pronounce your last name? Cool. Hit the button, because I want us to have as much organic conversation as possible, because I want to know really about the journey. And I don't want to start on chapter 3 or 4. I want to start on chapter 1. So let's talk about that. I do have a hard stop at 5 o'clock today, 1700 Central Standard Time. So I have a little bit of an actual agenda today, which is normally not like me. So I want to talk about the history, why you do what you do, and then I want to talk about some of the tips and tricks and things that people fail at the most, because we have people all over the spectrum at junk removal, and even with you, we're on day, like, what are we on, day 30-ish?
Today, well, I'm about to post in a few hours, day 30.
That's what I thought. I knew we were close. I did a little bit of research. I knew we were late 20s over the weekend. And yet I've been doing this 15 years in some capacity. There are things that I'm learning or relearning or doubling down on, like, yep, that's important. I got to be conscious of that. And some of them are comical, and yet some people fail at them. So let's talk about it. How did you get here today? What is the history? Tell me the hero's journey.
Well, I mean, first of all, once again, thank you. I can attest that, this show is not prepared. So basically it's very organic. So I really love that. So natural as it can be. So Xavier, so I'm just a father. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 beautiful princes. I'm Christian. I'm from Venezuela. I came to US in 2015, January. And since then, well, in Venezuela, I had a career in chemical engineer where, I spent years in it. I found that I didn't like it, and I had to, migrate to US for political reasons, stuff that really happened to me, really bad. And now I'm here, in US. In 2015, I was just applying for jobs, like anybody, any immigrant, and I realized that in order for you to work in US, you need to have some level of documentation. Like, work permit, social security. I didn't know that. I was struggling at the beginning to get a job. Finally, I didn't have any cell phone network in connection because, I didn't have the money at the beginning. I went to Starbucks. I hopped up with the Wi-Fi connection, and I was just checking Indeed. And I saw this ad from this company, College Household Junk. I applied for it. I got rejected at the beginning, and then I applied again, and they accept me in special circumstances. It was super hard for me because of my English, my struggle with the language. I came here with literally zero English, and I have to learn the language. And that's my journey. After that, they were promoting me to helper, a truck captain, truck driver, then ops manager, then the general manager, then corporate. They called me to do kind of like ramp up coaches for new franchise locations.
Yep.
Then I was in 1-800.jump as an assistant manager. I built my business, We Will Jump Removal and Hauling, and here I am with Junk-ify right now.
So are you still in the junk removal game? Do you still run a junk removal company then?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so you still okay. I wasn't sure of that. I knew about the college hunks and the 800 got junk a little bit.
Yes.
So how long have you been independent now?
Well, so it's been 2 years, officially 2 years. 2 years officially in Junk-ify. Junk-ify. Yeah.
Okay, so is Junk-ify the consulting side, or is that's the?
No, actually, I mean, I'm not a coach. Just to address the people in the room,
Okay.
I'm not a coach. In nature, I'm a junk removal enthusiast, like you and I.
Yeah.
It's just that I happen to help. I really have a very deep passion. I think it's naturally for the marketing space.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I help business owners to get that phone ring and help them, build their business through marketing and through lead generations. That's basically what I do.
All right. Where are you located now?
So I'm in Houston, Texas, and specifically in New Caney, Texas.
Okay. And you've been in Houston. Have you been in the Houston market the whole time from college?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Again, there's so much not research I did. And you only came up on my radar like a month ago. You came up when you first started posting I think I saw day one of what not to do. Or what to do if you don't want to be successful. I'm right. And I'm like, I reached out to you like the second day. I'm like, this guy is what's up, right? Again, because Facebook's a place that we in the junk removal space, that's where we network, right? It's like, I don't see a lot of junk removal companies networking on LinkedIn as much. It's more Facebook. So that's where I talk to people. Now in the waste industry side of the house, it's more LinkedIn, right? If I want to talk to the big players in the waste industry, that's where they are. And yet the community isn't there as much as it is on Facebook with all the groups.
I saw your operations 2 days ago. Man, that's insane. Wow.
Oh, the recycling. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Here's the thing. I was like, okay, so I'm not a marketing guy, right? Marketing to me is like I understand the importance of content. I talk about the 6 buckets of business. In every business, there's 6 buckets. It's the same 6 buckets, and it's in line with EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system, which is a system that we use in our business, right? Traction, right? Okay, so the 6 buckets are marketing, sales, operations, the thing you do, resources that are human, and then the numbers, right? Those are the 6 buckets. And when I teach people the 6 buckets, I talk about your high 3 and your low 3, right? If it's 1, 2, or 3, makes a difference. It makes no difference. It's a high 3. And if it's a 4, 5, 6, it's a low 3, right? Marketing is a low 3. It's the human connection, convincing people, all the things, right? And I understand the importance of it. So that video he's referring to, on Saturday, we did an e-waste event. So my math is what I do is math. I fucking math all day. Man, I love me some hillbilly math, right? So 136 cars, 8,100 pounds of electronics. It came out to 59.9 pounds per car, right? That's the shit I get into, right?
Insane, right?
14 full Gaylords, 4 partials, right? We're shipping out 32 Gaylords of e-waste. So we had about 15, give or take, and we brought another 18, combined a couple, whatever. So we're shipping out 32 Gaylords. That's a semi and a half of electronics we're shipping out tomorrow. 32 Gaylords can be close to 15,000 pounds of e-waste. We're shipping out mañana, right? So like that's where I get excited about. Okay, so going back to the video he's referring to, you can find it on my Facebook page. You can find it on the Trash Talk Business Podcast VIP page. I was watching our guys, and I'm like, okay, the process is working. And I sit back. I got a guy running it. Casey's running things. We had 8 guys, I think, working. And it was our first e-waste event. So the flow is a little bit different because we changed. It's our first one of the year, and we changed up the warehouse a little bit. And then I started recording. I was like, oh, I'm just going to record like the process. And it worked out with it. I was like following the journey as things were moving. Like, and my guys, they're so used to me pulling out my camera, like didn't give a shit. Right, like I had one guy like try to dunk under the camera, and he's this young kid. He's a high schooler that works with us on Saturdays. Right. Other than that, like everybody else, like Andy's doing his thing. We got shit to do. We got e-waste.
How much time it took you to build that team, man? Because that's massive operations. Massive.
Well, I'll talk about our journey. So I started in 2009 picking up appliances on the side of the road. I got laid off in 2008, 2 days before Christmas. I had grown up with my dad going through people's trash Like that's it. I grew up that way. I grew up where we would go to the nice neighborhoods, we go to the rich neighborhoods the day before trash day, and we go looking for treasures. So whether it was bikes, GI Joes, Ninja Turtles, right, and that turns into faucets and lock sets and cans. Oh yeah, like I like that's how I grew up. I don't know how to like. We lived in like lower middle class. Like we lived in a nice suburb, but not like a nice big house. My mom still, dad are still there. Like we ate, but we ain't great. I don't know how else to say it, right? We dug through trash. That's like there to this day. I drive by a dumpster. There's not a dumpster I don't want to jump in to see what I can't find. Right? If it's a construction dumpster, I guarantee you there's gonna be copper wire, be a faucet, maybe a cast iron tub or cast iron sink. Like I'm all about that life, right? And if it's a household, I guarantee you there's electronics, there's lamps, again, household like garden tools and shit like that. That are metal. I'll jump in and start chucking them out and throw them in the back of my truck, like without hesitation. That's how I grew up. Fast forward 2016, I deployed and I was gone for almost all of 15 on a deployment. Before I left my deployment in 14, I said, hey, when I come back home, I'm starting this junk removal thing. I'm not working for anybody else. I worked for waste management. I did all this stuff. I was like, no, I'm going to do this full time. So February of 16, we got into it. We bought into a franchise. We were part of a franchise for 4 years. I got out of the franchise in 2020, in May of 2020. I sat through a 2-year non-compete. I did a little bit of consulting, nothing else, nothing to violate my non-compete because I wasn't trying to fucking get my ass sued. And then, so I've been back at it 2 years. I got back at it March of 2022. And so our facility is 30,000 square feet, 2 acres, 12 trucks, about 20 employees right now. And last year we processed about 575,000 pounds of recyclables. So that's about a little over 400 on steel, another 50,000 pounds of non-ferrous, and then about 25,000 pounds plus of non-ferrous, and then 150,000 pounds of electronics. So we'll ship out, like I said, 15,000 pounds of electronics this week. And our goal this year is to do 200,000 pounds of electronics. So yeah, it's like, let's go. Like that's it. So the way we do that, like, so that entire process though, we were able to unload 3 box trucks worth of loose scrap, some loose electronics, and then Gaylords and all that stuff. The whole process was 90 minutes. And that was even cleaning shit up. Really, we could probably have it done in 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops.
Great, man.
And all those Gaylords are sorted. They're all weighed because we sort them during the event. Yeah, 50, I mean, we've already shipped out over 20,000 pounds of electronics this year. So this will put us at 35,000 pounds of electronics, and it's April, and this is only our first e-waste event of the year.
I remember, I think it was like 2016, what it was. 2016, latest 2016. I got a meeting with my boss, Houston. I was the ops manager already, and he told me, Xavier, man, we're spending too much money on dump costs.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I mean, surprising. Hey, we got to do something because I'm about to shut this down. I said, hey, man, how can I figure this out? Because the landfill here, they were charging by the volume. They were charging by the weight.
Oh, really?
And yes. I mean, here in Houston, they do both, but, in cubic feet, it's more expensive. I think they charge per truck. They were charging like $250 or $300. Full truckload was $525, pretty much. It's pretty much like 50% of the revenue. And we end up pretty much like literally, doing like scrap metal and cardboard, trying to compress the whole junk. And I remember the dump cost used to be like, I don't know, man, crazy, like 25%. And we coolly, we barely make it to like 15%. Still, it's super high.
Yeah.
But what I saw like a few days ago, I was like, man, this is like another level. So I just want to tell you that it's one of the most impressive recycling operation I've seen. I promise.
No, I appreciate that. No. So we monitor that number. So industry average is between 6 and 8%. That's right. Like big, right? We also know in the Southeast, down in Florida and Georgia, man, their dump fees are like next to nothing. And we know up in the Northeast and also big metropolitan areas like Houston, they're huge. So right now, this year, year to date, we're at 6.07%. In the last 6 weeks, we've trended under 6%. Right? Because even with us now, we're trying to get 10% and 100%, right? And so I'm in the process. I'll put it out there. We need a change in this industry. We need a change in the junk rule industry. Andy Barton and I talked about it last week, right? We are the frontline recyclers. This is on us, right? We pick up people's stuff. What separates us from the college hunks, the 800 guy junks, the waste managements, the republics of the world is the fact that we have the opportunity to sort the material, store it, and then ship it. Look at it, right? We were knee deep in. We were getting good. Here we go, quarter after the hour. The man, the myth, the legend, coming off a fresh set of 18 holes. Casey, Bubba Lawrence with the Trumpinator. Casey, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody?
You know what? We're talking about the industry. Xavier, I absolutely want to hear about your journey from Venezuela. And we you know what? We needed to have that conversation before Casey came on, because that was a conversation for educated people, right? And Casey's going to go full political on it. But like,
no,
we tell you what, Trump is great.
Casey, good to meet you, brother.
Yeah.
You too, man. You too.
We already know socialism doesn't work. So we don't like the fourth largest oil reserves in the world, and they fucked it up. Thank you, Hugo Chavez. Maduro. Oh yeah. Right. It was it wasn't like one guy shit the bed. It was let's give everybody chickens and they'll shut up, and then we'll just launder the money.
So
what is
correct you.
Hold on. What is the currency? The boy or the
Bolivians.
Bolivians. Yeah. It used to cost $2 for a chicken. Now it's 200,000 and no chickens for you. Yes. Just keep printing more money. That's the solution to everything. Now that Casey joined it, I got political. Casey's been on the show for 90 seconds and I went full political. Very
like I used to make like a chemical engineer, $4. I mean, it's not like, I'm not lying, $4 per month as a chemical engineer, and the cost of living is like $800. So
yeah,
it's just
you know what, I have met actually Casey. You and I had that Venezuela food when we went to a Venezuelan restaurant in Vegas. I never had a Venezuelan food before.
Oh.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, don't it was tapas. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It was like gringoed out, built for white people food. But it's still
like it was called like rapos or rapies or rapers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Arepas.
There you go.
Yeah. They were really
very,
we had it with
very good.
What's his face with the yellow sunglasses? Like Travis Johnson. Travis Johnson kind of took us there. He was there. I've only met a few Venezuelans in my life, and they're all just good ass fucking people, right? It's like
thank you, Lord.
No, and that's what I really wanted to talk about. I'm most interested with you. We'll get to the junk rules stuff. I'm really most interested with you to hear about that immigrant journey, because there's a huge, immigrants for the most part love America because of the opportunity, and Americans, we're giving the country away to immigrants. And you know what? That's not bad. Because you know what? It's in better hands with people that want to fucking be here and want to fucking hustle. Like I talk about it. I'm first generation off the farm. My father's father, all were on the farm. So I'm first generation off the farm. So when I talk about driving around with my dad, picking up trash on the side of the road and using it to live a life, like that's the way we lived, right? If we'd have been 3 or 4 generations of living comfortable, I might be completely different. I'm very thankful that I grew up the way that I did. I'm thankful that I spent my summers up on my grandparents' farm and learned the value of a dollar. Immigrants come here. I fucking love immigrants. I love people that come here and kick ass.
And that's the thing is
contribute to our society.
Dude, Texas is known for the huge Mexican influence, right? Because we border Mexico, and I think so the best food in the world is Tex-Mex. Just saying that right now. It is. You can't get it in Mexico, and you can't get it anywhere but Texas. But the coolest part about that is, I would say for the most part, the immigrants I've met, whether they're here legally or not, they are here for a purpose. They're here to work, provide for their family that maybe couldn't make the trip. But I think a lot of times when you get out of your shell, you start to see that instead of seeing everything that's plastered, everything. Oh, immigrants are bad. Immigrants are bad. No, they're not. Not at all. It's like everything else. All it takes is a few, and they're going to focus on those few.
Yep.
When you have 20 immigrants from China, Africa, and Iran coming through Mexico, well, there's a reason why that's kind of suspicious, right? You're like, huh, it's a long ass trip. And then you have to say, okay, well, what are you doing here? Well, we're supposed to go to New York City. Okay, for land of opportunity or what? No. So that's why you start questioning things. But if you look at I would say most of the South was built on immigration. Most of it. All right.
100%.
To this day, most of the infrastructure is being held up by immigration.
Yep.
All right. So I'm 100% with you. Now Venezuela, I don't know anything about it except for that lunatic leader that is
Yeah.
like best friends with Biden, apparently.
So crazy.
Maybe they're cut from the same cloth. I don't know.
We have the largest oil reserve in the world, and
yep, they were the fourth richest country at one point. Wasn't Venezuela the fourth richest country in like the early 90s per capita?
In 1960, I read the other day that the bolivar, the currency of Venezuela, was a little bit higher than the dollar in 1960, but now it's just totally the opposite. Right now, is really sad, especially when you're a dad, like you guys, and you see kids, eating from trash,
Mm-hmm.
and
and it's not from a lack of resources. You guys still have the fucking oil, like it's still there.
Yep.
You have it is all the government overhandling, regulation, social programs, corruption, right? Socialism doesn't fucking work, right? Like,
no,
this is we typically don't go political. I am a staunch capitalist right. The thing about me where I differ from capitalism is about environmental responsibility, right? And that's it. Beyond that, let the best man get the job, right? Who's willing to work the hardest to provide the greatest value to the customer, right? That's it, right? It's not the cheapest, not the easiest. No, who brings the most value, and they should get compensated accordingly. And so I like having really strong competition, because when we have good competition in this industry, it allows me to step up. Like, look at that video I posted about our e-waste. I want people to see that video and say, okay, hold on. What can I do today to get to there someday, right? Or hell, so I want someone to send me a video and be like, hey, look how dope I am, so I can be like, oh shit, I need to step up my fucking game. I've visited over 50 junk removal companies in this country. Casey can tell you, whenever I go traveling, the first thing I want to do is go visit a fucking scrapyard. Right, I want to see other people's operations. I want to figure out what can I do to make my processes more efficient. Hell, a couple of weeks ago, we redid our entire warehouse because we're like, all right, what's a better, more efficient way of doing it? Because we went from one 24-foot box truck, and now we got 3, and they all got lift gates on them. So it's like that changes the way we do business a little bit. So now we use the dock more versus loading and unloading at the deck height. So I'm always looking to figure out how can I expedite and more, make my processes more efficient.
Well, it's funny you say that, Andy, because this may not be directly related to immigration, but I'm sure Xavier can see this too. You have people that we're in a new generation. Like, Xavier, I don't know how old you are. I'm guessing you're in your 30s.
36 right now.
Okay, 36. I'm 35. Andy's like 50, right? So he's close. What, 40? But our generation, we were taught by a generation that was taught to work until you're 60, and then you can finally enjoy life. Well, the issue with that is we kind of figured that out. Like, no, that's not the rules. We can kind of make our own way. And I'm seeing now a good friend of mine, he's my age. He's about to retire from the Army. Like, he did 20 years. He's looking down the barrel, and he's like, I am freaked the hell out. I don't know what can I provide?
Yep.
Because now I'm not going to have that purpose anymore. And I said, dude, what do you want to do? Because a lot of us, we had that stigma. Well, I don't have college. Oh, you're not going to be successful. Oh, I don't have all this huge amount of stuff on my resume. Can't go anywhere in life. But like Andy said, bootstrapping it up, or even from you, moving to a completely different opportunity, different country. And then you got me, who was thrown into an opportunity, and I said, fuck it. We all broke the rules. We all said, hey, we're going to go this route because we want to learn more. And my buddy Mike asked me, he's like, dude, no offense, but how'd you do it? Because the Casey I knew in the Army, is 100% different than the Casey I know now. And I said, yeah, it's because I never stopped learning how to get better.
100%.
Regardless of what the task was, if I was going to get better in junk removal, demolition, or just personal development as a whole, I never stopped learning. And that's the key to it. Like Andy said, you go to a scrapyard in a different city, different state. Hey, I'm going to take something away. Hey, it could be something to what not to do, or something. Oh, maybe I can add this to my process. And if you could do that everywhere you go, learn something little by little, and you're just going to have a wealth of knowledge to succeed. I believe that. So where are you out of, Xavier?
Yeah, I mean,
Houston.
Well, Houston, Texas. New King.
Oh, dude.
New King.
The armpit. All right. All right.
So we were before we were so.
How did it feel when the Rangers just bent you over for that World Series title?
You know what? Now we're talking baseball. Jesus, it's bad enough we talk football. I mean, cheaters don't win, winners don't cheat. That's all I gotta say about the Houston Astros. All right, the little fucking short guy, fucking banging on the goddamn garbage can. His fucking garbage can banging ass.
Man, he's like 150.
Yeah, that's all I know.
You know
that little.
Gee, I'll tell you, he may be short and annoying, but he's fucking good.
Man, he's good.
You know what it is? It's the ball players that beat you constantly. Who's the catcher for the Cardinals for like 900 fucking years? That guy. For the Cardinals. I don't know if he beat the Brewers up. God, I can't think of his name. I'm gonna have to Google it. Anyways, I can't stand that guy. Did he go to the
Sox? Did he go to the Red Sox?
No, he was a Cardinal. He was a Cardinal for life.
Oh.
Anyway, I'll Google him right now. All right. Before we were so rudely interrupted by what do you call it? Casey in baseball. I want to know, Xavier. So why? The question I have is, why are you doing this 60 days? So what's the point there? Are you doing Molina? What's that guy's name? Now it's driving me nuts. Molina
was the Red Sox.
Molina. Yadier Molina. I fucking know what I'm talking about. Yadier Molina. Hey, I was with the Cardinals for. Now I'm going to Google it. See, now I'm early life drafted.
Yadier Molina.
Yadier Molina. I can't figure. Whatever. He retired like last year. All I know is he beat the shit out of the Brewers. I mean, I'm not even that big of a Brewers fan, and I do know he was. There we go. Yeah, 2022. He retired. Anyways, all right. That's what I got to say about him. That's all. That's all I had to say was even the ones you don't like, you remember. You remember because you don't like them. All right. So Xavier. Yeah. So Xavier, to get you caught up to speed, Casey. Xavier still runs his company. He spent time with College Hunks. Spent time with 800 Guy Junk. Now he's giving tips and tricks on how to be successful in junk removal. So what prompted that? Why are you giving away the secrets for free?
Because, and I think it's just my personality, Andy and Casey. I will respond that with, my living here in US, right? I don't see any secrets. I mean, any industry has secrets. I mean, like everything is public. Everything is in Google, ChatGPT. It's just implementation, right? The implementation, what really, makes the difference. But I think it's, when you are generous with people, I think good things happen to you. Mm-hmm. So regardless, you have something that you feel is valuable, or you feel something is super dumb or super like nothing. Like for somebody can be a big difference. So I think I'm still super bad at social media, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't usually post stuff and videos. First of all, because I need to overcome the fear of speaking on camera because of my language, or my accent.
I didn't notice.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'll be honest with you, so I appreciate it. So, but yeah, so I'm coming from a country that, you don't have anything. And when you show up here in this country, when you can have everything, I think the possibilities are endless, and just being generous with the people is just something that really fills me and like literally like make me happy. Because when I start here in this country, few people give me a hand economically. I came here with $300 in my pocket. Like literally, it sounds cliche, like, oh, I just came here with nothing. Well, I came here with $300, and my pregnant wife. I was literally escaping from Venezuela. I got kidnapped by the FARC. I mean, you guys are military, the FARC, the Colombian.
Yep.
Because when you are against the government, you are literally a target for the government. And me and my wife, we got kidnapped for 6 months. And we have to make our living. You know, we have to figure it out. Luckily, we got out of the situation. We're here, and you know, we didn't have any plan B, so just plan A, and just to try to make it. Because at the beginning, the main concern was just to get, you know, the bed or something to sleep on, and some money to eat. That was basically my whole thing. And I was a chemical engineer. I found out that I didn't like it. Luckily, in Venezuela, the education is for free, because I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have, you know, the money to pay. Because I mean, I come from a not rich family, not super poor, but you know, not able to pay a private school or something. But here I found just a passion, you know, for the industry. I really like, you know, I think it's a people relationship, you know, because I think we are in an industry where, to me, it's a transition from being in a specific psychological state to feel relief, you know. And that feeling is, I think, what motivates me, you know, to see the faces of, you know, the clients super happy and super excited. That's, you know, what really motivates me, just to, you know, to be in the industry.
No, I love that. And that's what we talk about, right? The junk removal is a thing we do ultimately. But really what we provide is we provide peace of mind. We provide a stress-free environment. We, you know, knock down mountains that people have built up in their head of things they cannot overcome. And we come in a matter of, you know, minutes sometimes, or hours, and sometimes days, and take on projects that they think, you know, it took them a lifetime to acquire it. It took them a lifetime to build this mountain, and we tear it down physically, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes, you know, hours or days. And that is life-changing for some people. Yep. that could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's the addicting part of the industry, right? That's the front end. I love that part. I love the back end about how to find a home for things so that they don't end up in the landfill. And most people fall in love with the front end. I began with the end state in mind. I started by picking up shit for free on the side of the road. So I had to make $1, you know, I had to make money from the thing to get the ball rolling. And then when people said they would pay me to come in their house, that was like a novel concept, right? And then it was like, my goal is to keep everything on the landfill. And then you realize quickly, well, okay, not everything. So what can we do, right? And right now we have about an 80% recovery rate in our facility. And it's like, okay, now let's keep taking it up. My goal is to get this industry to start looking at it where it's like, oh, we just put aside some scrap. No, what other recyclable material do you have that you can keep out of landfill? You had a need when you were with College Hunks, then 800 got junk because of the price of the landfill, right? Yeah. That scarcity of money drives innovation. How do we get people in this industry to look at themselves as frontline recyclers before anything else? And that's my challenge. That is where this industry is going. I'm going to beat that drum. I will lead the charge. I want to change this mindset of junk removal into, you know, responsible recovery, responsible removal, right? So that we're conscious about the stuff we're picking up and what we're doing with it. So it ultimately we maximize the value of the things we pick up.
And not only that, I mean, like hauling stuff up and, you know, hauling junk, you're also helping, you know, for the environment and, you know, the community with electricity. I mean, few people, they don't know that in the recovery process, you are taking the junk as junk and process that junk and making, you know, turning into gas. And that gas fills some turbines, and that turbine move, and you you generate electricity. So that aspect of the business, I think is good to notice, because that gives, you know, that adds another value, extra value for the industry.
I'm back. I fell off there. My audio wasn't lining up.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were talking there about incineration facilities that generate electricity, right? When you take those facilities, it's also, how do we, you know, what material I was on the local TV show this morning. You talk about what materials people often do not think about when it comes to recycling. Like clothes is a primary one, right? Like, oh, if it's dirty or stained, I can't donate it. It's like, no, you can donate it. They'll separate it, they'll sort it, they'll bale it, and they'll ship it out, right, as used or ragged out, they call it, or used textiles, and they'll do something with it. I told people, if you have wood in your garage or your shed you want to get rid of, put it on the put it by your driveway or in your alley, and just put free firewood, and people will come by and grab it. Right? It's things like that. It's like you got to get a little creative. Hell, with us, almost all of our clean lumber that we cannot donate because they'll only take things like 8-foot lengths. Yep. So we'll put it on the corner. And at the corner of our property, right here in an industrial park, we just have free firewood. It can have nails on it. It can be all beat up. It's gone almost every single time we put it out there because someone will drive by and they'll use it to either heat their house, have a fire pit, or whatever, right? And so now it's not going to it's not going to get put in the landfill first and foremost. We also recycle our wood. We'll turn it into wood chips. If we can even avoid doing that and have someone just take it and pick it up for free and they use it for firewood, cool. Like that's less trees we got to chop down doing that, right? It's all about that resource recovery. Use the resource for something so we don't have to produce a new thing. When we put it in the landfill, the value, the energy is gone. And now we have to recreate all that value and energy again.
That's the easy part. You should throw in the landfill.
Yeah. Well, trust me, like growing up as a kid, like it was sacrilegious if like aluminum foil ended up in the trash can, right? I mean, we were raised that way. So me, it's like, I feel guilty every time I put something in the trash. And like when I make purchasing decisions, it's like, okay, do I really need this? Right? What is the packaging type? Like those decisions impact my choices. I remember years ago when Dunkin' Donuts still had styrofoam cups. I love me a fucking Dunkin' Donut. Like that's my favorite coffee. Like styrofoam cups, like that was a problem I had. Right. And then there was a big thing that came out. They finally switched to paper cups. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Right? Like, yes, I will say a styrofoam Dunkin' Donuts cup is a better product than a paper one, right? It's insulated. It keeps coffee hotter longer, whatever. It also takes like 400,000 years to decompose and rather have a paper that'll either get recycled or can decompose in a lot less time because that shit matters.
Just heat it up.
Yeah, just melt it. Just throw your what do you call it? Styrofoam cup in your fire pit. No big deal. Sure, those toxins are great from the earth. God bless.
I'll say this, to your point, the recycling thing, it all comes down to money and education. As in, recycling is not a very lucrative business as a whole.
Nope.
At the same time, the average American doesn't know how to even recycle. They just know what you tell them. Sure. If you say, hey, we can recycle plastics, but there's 7 different plastics that we can recycle 7 different ways. So as long as it's not this plastic or this, and then people are like, you know what, fuck this. Take my plastic, and if you recycle it, cool. If not, whatever. And what I've seen down in the South, at least in Texas, recycling is expensive. So it's very difficult to keep everything out of the landfill, even though you may want to. I've seen, I think Chipotle does it. You go into Chipotle, and at Walmart has it too, but they'll have like trash, recyclables, and then food. Well, those bags go to the same dumpster, and there's no one in there saying, "Oh, thank you, put it over here." No, it all goes to the same place, unfortunately. But yeah, if we can do our part, great. We can't really control outside of our limits, but I'm telling you right now, like what I've seen with recycling, it's all a money play. If it's too expensive, they're not going to do it. They'll ship it to like Indonesia or Malaysia and say, "Thanks for our trash. We don't care what you do with it now."
And that's what I talk about. I love capitalism so long as there's an environmental responsibility aspect built into it, and that's a challenge. It often is not, right? And then you look at these developing nations, especially in the South Pacific. It's like they contribute so much to the global waste. It's like, well, what percentage of the stuff from the U.S. we just ship there, and now it's their responsibility because we passed the buck, right? It's like people that get EV cars and think they're saving the earth when in actuality they're plugging them in, and that outlet that they're charging from is being produced by coal, right? That's in the power plant, right? And that's how the power's getting there in the first place. It's like you're doing things that you think are good, makes you feel good, and yet what's the actual net result? Europe has a phenomenal system because they give a shit, and they have regulations and they have processes in place.
I want to say, that probably it's not. I don't know, man. Probably it's political interest or something, but the government, they know. They should know. Like
100%. Like if you put a 5-cent return on every plastic bottle, right, in the US, 5 cents, right? You and I might not dispose of them that way, but I guarantee you some bum will go through every single garbage can and look for plastic bottles, right? That's what they do in Europe, right? They have, you know, homeless people. And when you use a plastic bottle, the expectation is you give it to a homeless person because then they'll go cash it in for 5 cents or 20 cents or whatever euros, right? And that's how they make a living. They make a living by cleaning up the trash because they are financially incentivized to do so. Same with in the United States. There's 5 states that, you know, take the deposit. It's really simple. When you buy the soda, it goes from $1.50 to $1.55. No consumers are going to stop buying a fucking Coke because it's 5 cents more, right? And yet when you do that, you're going to have a much higher recycling rate than if you're not financially incentivized. So yeah, me, water bottle, if I can buy a 24 pack of water bottles and it's 5 cents per more, right? It's $1.20. I couldn't even tell you what a pack of water bottles is right now. I don't really buy them, right? Is
like
it going to stop me?
$4?
Yeah. So now it goes from $3.50 to $5, right? And yet every manufacturer has the same thing. So everyone's price is going to go up. And yet plastic water bottles, I would argue, would virtually disappear because you know what? You don't see aluminum cans anywhere because people pick them up and they know they're going to get, you know, they're going to get paid for them. It really is that simple. So it's to your point, Casey, you incentivize it on capitalism because you have the person that buys the soda pay for it in the first place. So now the manufacturers aren't out anything, right? And the consumer that pays the 5 cents, it's a deposit. They can get their 5 cents back if they want, or they can just eat it and be like, okay, that's the cost of making the world a better place.
And then it goes also into education because I tried to make a deal with a t-shirt company. They made shirts out of plastic bottles.
Yep.
And I was like, hey man, like this is when I had that big warehouse. So I was just trying to think how I could best use it. Well, come to find out, they're like, hey, just make sure all the caps are off of them and all the wrappers. And if you think about that, as much plastic bottles I would have to send them to make it worth my while, that's a lot of labor to take the caps off and then unwrap the bottle. So if you don't know that and you toss them a plastic bottle, they're going to see it and say, oh, there's 2 types of plastic here. And since the cap's on, we can't recycle it. So it's just immediately going to go to the trash because it all comes down to someone has to touch it and handle it. That's a labor. That's money. We're not going to do that.
Education.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, I found out it was like 150 plastic water bottles to equal 1 shirt or something like that. So I was like, that's pretty cool. Obviously poly whatever. It's the same as the plastic water bottle. So it makes sense, but that's a lot of labor. And when it comes down to business sense, you have to look at that. Am I going to pay someone an extra 2 hours a day just taking caps off?
It's not worth it.
Right.
So what's interesting there, you bring up that example. My uncle was a garbage man. He just retired 25 years or 30 years. He retired last month. And at Easter, we were sitting there joking and smoking and joking and telling stories. And I remember doing this as a kid. I didn't really understand it, but I remember doing it. He used to get, because he was a recycling driver, so every pack of cigarettes he got, every box of cereal, every water bottle, he would take the labels off of, right? Because cigarettes, the Marlboro miles, you would get like 5 miles per pack or whatever it was, right? And then when it came to like the Kellogg's boxes or General Mills, they had like the 15 points towards your school. And then for years, Pepsi and Mountain Dew and PepsiCo they always had promotions. I remember they had a promotion around Star Wars and stuff. And it was like, 1 in 10 get a free Pepsi, or you get, the 5 points or whatever. And you get, there's that documentary, Where's My Jet? Pepsi, Where's My Jet? Right? Because it was like 1 million points you get a fighter jet, whatever. I remember sitting there as a kid at my grandparents' house when I was staying up for the summer, and they would drop off shopping bags full of bottle caps, and I would have to sort them and then bag them in like 200 point increments. And same, I would have to cut. He would give me a stack of fucking cereal boxes. I would sit there and cut out every single one of them. Same with marbles, I'd bag them. And like at the time, I didn't realize what I was doing. I was like, oh, I'm just like, this is like something it's a chore, right? And that's what my uncle was doing. Like he was cutting all that shit out for every single trash bag he got. He would pull all that shit out. And we were joking about it. He's like, how much free hunting gear or camping gear and like chairs and coolers. And he goes, and I would just give those, like, that was your Christmas gift. Like I never realized that all my Christmas gifts were like Marlboro things or Pepsi things, right? And he didn't pay $1 for it. He intercepted it because other people didn't bother with it, right? And that's what it comes down to. When you financially incentivize people to do something, there's a threshold when they will start doing it. And when we build that into our society, like to look at you, Xavier, right? You are spending 25% on landfill fees, and you're like, okay, you're not even trying to make a buck. All you're trying to do is reduce cost, and you got it down to 15% by bringing in some basic processes.
Just
that's what it comes down to. Super basics, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm throwing that out there as this is what needs to change from a legislative standpoint. However, and y'all can start doing it today. When we look at metal recycling, electronics recycling, clothes recycling, cardboard recycling, mattress recycling, like figure out in your market what you can cut down your cost on and cut down your landfill impact, and start with something. Every market can do metal recycling, right? I'm really avoiding the word scrap. John Sacco, one of my mentors, a good guy. I'll see him in a couple of weeks at the Waste Expo. He has Sarah International. He has a company where he has a scrapyard, and they also do equipment. He has a really, just great content, but it blows my fucking content out of the water. And he has series 2 of Repurpose came out. I'm not even being plugged to say this. I'm saying this because it's awesome. Anyways, he was on our podcast maybe a year ago, and he talked about getting rid of the word scrap because it has a negative connotation. And he talks about metal recycling, because now when we talk about metal recycling, it's different. Or alter metal.
Scrap, you think of trash when you think of scrap.
Correct. Scrap is what's left over, right? So you think about like your table scraps. It's the shit left over. You're throwing in your garden or feed your dog, right? And it's like, no, it's not scrap. It's metal recycling. These things have value. Like, words fucking matter. I know. I wrote a fucking book about it. Pick it up on Amazon. That was a fucking plug. So I am more interested now in talking about metal recycling. Like Alter Metal. Alter Metal is a big player here in the Midwest, and they buying up a lot of these small scrapyards, and it's Alter Metal, right? It's Alter Metal Recycling. While me growing up, I used to go to, United Milwaukee Scrap, because scrap was the name of the game. And now it's metal recycling. We're the experts. It's our opportunity to take material and catch it before it enters the waste stream, right? And divert it. And so how do we get in the recycling stream versus the waste stream? Like, that's our obligation as frontline recyclers.
And I think, that's something that we have to educate also the junk removal companies, because
100%. This is for the junk removal companies. This is not for the end user. The consumer doesn't give a shit, mostly, right? They're like, just making stuff go away. And if you tell them you're doing something about it, they're like, cool, that's better. That's good. However, we are the ones that have to develop the processes, because if you don't make it available, the consumer doesn't know the difference. That's why.
Well, think about this. Here's how I look at it with consumerism and junk removal companies. Around Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, you'll see people be like, hey, I donated a turkey to the homeless, or I set up a soup kitchen for the homeless. Well, how come you don't do that all the time? Why is it just around Christmas or Thanksgiving? Well, it's because it's convenient for them, and it's the holiday of giving. Well, the same can be said about the recycling. If you're like, hey, we recycle the stuff we pick up from your house, we keep it at land. You know what? By using them, I don't have to do that, and I will feel better because now I'm being responsible with my waste. No, they're not. But if it makes them feel better to think that, sweet, go ahead, because now they're going to use me for that. And as long as it's up to me to be responsible with that waste, that's all that really matters. Because let's just face it, the majority of the listeners of this show, for instance, they're not your everyday consumer. They are junk removal businesses or related businesses. So my customers per se aren't going to be, hey, Casey, great topic yesterday on the podcast. That was awesome. They're not going to utilize the information. So it doesn't make sense. So we have to educate the junk removal community, because yes, is it important? Absolutely. Is it going to make you a lot of money? Probably not. But it is the responsible and the best way to do things. At least that's what I think.
And I think there's also a need to keep track of, that metric of recovery rate and all that, because even for the junk removal big brands, College House, 100 Got Junk, whatever, those big dogs, they preach and they market that they do 60% recovery.
But they have no numbers.
But it's
no fucking numbers. Right, I know. I had the College Hunks. I know. I mean, when we had the College Hunks kid local here on the podcast, I go, how do you track it? Fucking crickets, right? And when we shape away from the word junk and more look at it as, material recovery, whatever, right? Resource. Now the College Hunks and 800 Got Junk, we're solving the same problem, and yet we're doing it differently, right? Because I don't see the College Hunks, especially 800 Got Junk, right? Their business model is stack it high, let it fly, right? They say it on their website, and yet there's no certification. There's no transparency, right? That's why we do tours of our warehouse and our facility. I'm actually doing Casey. Casey, I'm saying it right now. I'm committing to it right now because I have a tendency when I say shit on the podcast to commit to it that it actually happens. I'm committed before the end of the year, this year, to have a weekend something here at our warehouse. You know what? Fuck, I'm looking at my goddamn calendar right now. I'm going to figure this out.
I'd even
right
challenge
now.
you further. I would challenge you further, and I would make it into some sort of a fundraiser for a local charity.
Why would I do that? Not in a bad way. Well, like why is that?
Partner up and you can grab their traffic too. That's how I look at it. I don't know if it's bad or not, but
I can do what now? What am I doing? Grabbing traffic?
If you partner with the local nonprofit, now you grab their supporters' attention.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to come and support that nonprofit by coming to your warehouse.
Oh, no.
As your supporters.
Oh, no. I have plenty of those open houses. No, I'm saying,
okay.
I do plenty of those charitable events. No, I'm saying bring in junk removal companies throughout the country to the warehouse for the weekend. That's what I'm committing to. Oh, we have
this year.
Really? I'm you know what? Last year we talked about doing it. I didn't fucking do it.
Your best bet is like September, October.
I already fucking know it. September, October. That's what I'm thinking. That's not even thinking. That's what I'm fucking doing. Let's plan for. I'm looking at my calendar because I know when I got things going on. What is this? Namaste. Oh, that's a conference I'm at. So, well, fuck that.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go up there.
October 4th.
Ooh, sorry, I have something that day.
No, you don't. You ain't got shit. Actually, I have a big meeting on the 3rd. I have a huge meeting on the 3rd.
That's right.
Or the 25th. The problem with the 25th is that's Halloween weekend, and some folks get serious about Halloween. October 25th. I like that actually a lot more. Let's do it. Done. I'm committing to it. I had nothing hard nothing hard that week. October 25th. We are doing you heard it here first, right? We are making this shit up as we go. October 25th, for all of our listeners, October 25th, we're going to do one of 3 events, and maybe, actually, not even maybe. Taylor, put up the survey. 3 options. We do a meetup, super casual, fly in, hang out, loose agenda. Second option, mastermind, right? This is a no shit. We're going to bring in some speakers, right? Third option, conference. I can pull off a fucking conference in under 6 months, right? And based on which one we do, it'll change the price, the level of commitment, right? How much work we put in. I want to see our audiences. Put it up, Taylor. I want to see what level of commitment people want. So if we did the weekend, it'd be like if we did like a meet and greet, it'd probably be $250 to $500 price point. Put that on there, $250 to $500. I'm spitballing shit now. If we did I think mastermind would actually be the most expensive, probably, right? Because then we'd have to fly in. I don't know how we do this.
You know what? So this is something that I would even encourage you to talk to John about, Sacco, if he'd be willing to fly in for that.
Oh yeah, bring him in. Yeah, no. If we're gonna do if we do the meetup, it's just I gotta cover my cost, right? And because people either way, people got airfare and hotel like that. That's on them. Right? Airfare, hotel, rental car, Ubers, all that shit. Right? The question is what level of commitment and how many people. If we do a meetup, maybe we get 50 people. If we do a no shit hardcore mastermind, maybe it's only 15. Right? I'm thinking mastermind's a $2,500 to $4,000 experience because we would bring in heavy hitters because I want to extract as much value from people. All right, do that. Taylor, meetup $250 to $500. Conference $750 to $1,250. I'm giving ranges here. And a mastermind be like 2,500 to 4,000 is the range. And I'd say 2,500 to 3,000 because my thought is to be like 2,500 for the first person, 1,500 for the second person, and then we build the value based on the need from the consumer, right? Because I want to know what people really want because I would love to get like Xavier. I want you. I want Russ Berry. I want fucking who do we got?
Waltz.
Barton. I want Waltz. I want all the players to want to come here and come up with the best ideas, right? The whole idea of a mastermind is let's bring the best ideas together. We'll even let Casey Bubba Lawrence hang out with us, you know. Someone's got to tell jokes, you know, keep things moving.
Xavier, your website's pretty badass, by the way. I'm looking at it right now.
Thank you, really.
He's a marketing guy. I know he's fucking figure it out.
Who's the marketing guy?
Xavier's the marketing guy. He knows marketing.
Yes,
he could teach.
It's obvious.
He could teach the marketing class. Him and Barton would have to duke it out to figure out who's teaching the marketing portion of the.
Barton would just be like, I don't give a fuck. Just spend the money on it. Cool.
Spend the money. Send out fucking mailers. I don't know. My fight. Talk. He'd be like, what's his wife's name? I was gonna say Robin. It's not Robin. Raven.
No, that's my
Raven.
wife.
Yeah, Eratica's your wife. Yeah, talk to Raven. Raven knows shit. I don't know. It's a big dumb Marine. I haul shit.
I just push the buttons and say the things.
I struggle with his I can understand Xavier better than I can understand fucking Barton sometimes. Like he just I don't know if he doesn't open his mouth or enunciate. He's like, oh, fucking all the goddamn modes. He's one of our favorite guests too. All right, I have a hard stop. I have a veteran event I'm going to tonight. Looking forward to that. So I have a no shit hard stop here. So let's get to the big finish. Man, this conversation flew by, and I don't feel like we solved anything. So we have to have. I'm serious. I have so many more questions about Xavier. Like we didn't even get to the top six. Tell you what, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring you back and like a
just
month
to talk about marketing.
We're gonna talk about marketing. I even said, Casey, at the beginning, I had an agenda, I had a timeline. 56 minutes into it.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff to say about it. So yeah,
we didn't even fuck. All right, Xavier part.
Bring it back sooner than a month.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Xavier part 2. Taylor, get on it. Taylor's on it. All right, Xavier part 2 coming up. All right, coming up the next 2 weeks. You know what? I'm plugging the next shows. We said we are going to do that, Casey, and now we're doing that because I historically have forgotten. All right, next week, on by popular demand, the happiest man in the junk removal space, Happy Junk Removal, John. Can't remember how we pronounce his name. John Aguirre.
John Aguirre.
Aguirre. See, there we go. I need somebody that can roll an R. Aguirre. All right.
Ruffles have ridges.
Yeah. Ruffles has ridges. All right. He's on next week. And then the week after that, the woman I know personally, Stephanie Krubacek, she works for Waste Cap and they audit waste. And she's been traveling the world for the last 15 years learning about the waste industry. So we're really going to learn about, again, as we transition away from junk and more into resource recovery, what can we do as an industry to maximize the value of the things we come across? So we'll find out how to run a happy junk removal business with the best metrics in the game. According to many people, John can smoke me in metrics, which let's go.
All that LTV, CAC, stuff like that.
Dude, that's gonna be a hot, nerdy numbers conversation. So if you want a hot and nerdy, tune in next week, 2 weeks from today, talking more about recycling. All right, let's get to the big finish. Xavier, we're going to start with you. What was your top takeaway from today's show?
There's so much to learn from the industry. Still, there's so much to do. Yeah, that's basically my biggest takeaway. There's so much to learn from the industry.
I love it. Casey, going to you.
Well, I think, Xavier, you're a marketing guy, and how I look at it, it's always evolving. So you have to get on the evolution train, or you're going to get left behind in the dust, because junk removal is very dependent on the marketing industry, the consumer industry, and all the resources that surround it, whether it be natural or otherwise. So it's also evolving as well. And I think, like we talked about a couple episodes ago, about this year's going to be hard. Well, it's not going to be that hard if you're willing to evolve with it. So evolution of the junk removal and marketing industries, I think, go hand in hand.
Yep.
I agree. All right. We're going to have Xavier back on May 6th or any Monday after May 6th. May 6th, 13th, or 20th. Xavier, let Taylor know when you can come back on. We're gonna have Xavier. We're gonna have May 6th works.
Yep.
Done. There we go. Xavier will be back in 3 weeks, so we can have the second part of the first part of the conversation that we never got to. So junk removal marketing in 3 weeks. Man, we got a line of episodes coming up that are going to be exciting. My top takeaway from today is it starts with you. Right. Xavier was a random guy. I saw a post on Facebook and I'm like, let's fucking go. right? I reached out to him immediately. I was like, dude, I fucking love what you're posting.
I love that, man. I appreciate
Ego aside, I know nothing about this guy. I didn't know about the entrepreneurial dream. He came from Venezuela. I didn't know why he got started in junk removal. I didn't know anything about the guy. And I could have looked at him as my competition. Oh, look at this fucking guy. He thinks he's an expert. I'm going to fucking have a big dick competition. First thing I do was like, dude, how soon can I have you on the podcast? I'm excited to learn from you. So, Xavier, you said there's so much there is to learn. Right. I'll also argue, and there's so much that you have to teach the people in this industry. And that's the beautiful thing about what we do here on the Trash Talk Business Podcast. What we're going to do at the Mastermind event, October 25th, hosted in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mark your calendars. Totally plug an event that we made up 20 minutes ago. I will be there. Casey will probably be there. Xavier also, we'll say at this point, tentative, will be there. So we're going to bring together the best minds in this industry so that we can grow this amazing industry of taking the stress away from people's lives. That's it. I'm Andy Weins. He's Casey Bubba Lawrence. And thank you to our guest, Xavier Caldera. We are looking forward to seeing him in a couple of weeks. And we'll see everybody else next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit Trash Talk Business.